What if I told you that every single thing you're afraid of right now, the missed opportunities, the looming failures, the uncertainty, you only experience them because you expect them? What if your entire reality is just a mirror of your belief? And the moment you believe everything will work out, it starts bending in your favor. That means the fear you're feeling is not a warning, it's a signal. A signal that it's time to take control of your inner world because your outer world is following its lead. And here's the truth most people never dare to live by. The moment you act as if everything will work out is the moment it starts. The world will feed you every excuse to worry, to doubt, to hesitate. But what if you refuse to build your life on fear? What if every limiting belief was nothing more than a suggestion you had the power to decline? The mind does not simply observe reality, it builds. Every thought you allow, every belief you nurture, becomes part of the blueprint you live by. When you walk into a room expecting rejection, your posture reflects it, your tone betrays it, and others respond accordingly. But when you carry yourself with calm certainty, as if the outcome is already secured, doors begin to open, not magically, but predictably. Because energy doesn't lie. People feel it. Circumstances bend to it. Your thoughts are not invisible. They are instructions to your nervous system, to your words, your choices, your body language. And over time, they become the hidden architecture of your future. Doubt is subtle, but it is corrosive. It doesn't shout, it whispers. It tells you to hold back just a little, to wait just a little longer, to avoid disappointment by avoiding effort. But when you act with hesitation, you plant seeds of failure before you even begin. Fear builds nothing. Doubt builds delay. But belief builds momentum. When you act as if things will work out, your mind shifts from defense to creation. You stop preparing for pain and start preparing for success. You notice different things. You ask different questions. You take different actions. The world hasn't changed. And that shift becomes the very thing that turns the improbable into the inevitable. This is not optimism for the sake of comfort. This is strategy. Your beliefs are the foundation. You cannot pour concrete over anxiety and expect it to hold. You cannot build a palace on a foundation of fear. What you must do is inspect the thoughts you repeat and ask yourself, do these thoughts build a future I want to live in? Do they reinforce courage or feed hesitation? Because everything you repeatedly think is a brick laid in your future. Lay enough of them with intention, and you'll wake up standing inside the life you once imagined. But if you don't guard the blueprint, if you allow fear to hold the pen, you'll live inside someone else's version of your life. It's not enough to wish things work out. Wishing is passive, powerless, and rooted in uncertainty. You must move as if they already have. There is a fundamental shift that occurs when you stop asking if something is possible and start behaving like it's inevitable. This isn't arrogance, it's alignment. When your actions are congruent with belief, momentum begins to build. People sense it. You sense it. The hesitation fades and clarity replaces it. Most people hesitate not because they lack the ability, but because they lack the conviction. Conviction is the fuel that turns effort into power. It is the spark behind relentless focus, behind disciplined execution. When you act from conviction, you're no longer waiting for the world to validate your moves. You're telling the world what's coming and daring it to disagree. You must begin to speak like you're already trusted. That means eliminating language of doubt from your vocabulary. No more I hope, no more maybe, no more if this works. You declare, you state, you direct. Because your words frame your identity, and your identity sets your standard. You must work like you're already paid. That means showing up with the intensity, excellence, and commitment of someone who is already being rewarded. Because eventually the world catches up to that level of energy, and you must train like you're already chosen. That means treating your growth, your discipline, your preparation like it's non-negotiable. Champions are not crowned, and then they begin to train. They train before anyone notices, before anyone cares, because they've already decided they're worthy of the win. This kind of action is rare. It's uncomfortable, because it forces you to lead without applause, to act before evidence, to move without permission. But this is where results are born. In the quiet discipline of aligned behavior, in the daily decisions to show up powerfully, consistently, intentionally, even when no one is watching. When you move with conviction, you start bending the world around your will. Not because the world owes you anything, but because it responds to clarity, to direction, to intensity. You stop negotiating with circumstances, and you start commanding outcomes. The laws of motion don't wait for confidence. They respond to action, and once you start acting like you're already on the path begins to clear. Don't wait to feel ready. Readiness is a lie sold to those who want to delay responsibility. The truth is, you become ready through action, through motion, through doing the very thing you think you can't. Faith is not a feeling, it's a decision. And like any skill, it grows through repetition. Every time you choose to believe in the face of uncertainty, you strengthen that muscle. Every time you act despite fear, you build a foundation that can't be shaken by temporary setbacks. Faith is trained in silence, in solitude, in moments when nothing around you confirms your decision, but you move forward anyway. And the more you move, the more you condition your body and mind to associate effort with possibility, not pain. You must make it a habit to assume that every challenge you face is a setup, not a setback. This isn't naive, it's strategic. When your mind is trained to interpret obstacles as stepping stones, it changes how you react. Instead of retreating, you lean in. Instead of freezing, you adapt. Your perception becomes your advantage. Life is going to throw storms. Faith doesn't avoid them, it anchors you through them. And when you walk with the belief that every storm carries a hidden lesson or opportunity, you stop fearing them. You start respecting them. You begin to trust that what's being removed is making space for what's meant to grow. Assume people will say yes. Assume doors will open. Assume your efforts are working even when you can't see the results yet. Doubt drains your energy before you even begin. But faith allows you to execute with peace. It clears the noise and sharpens your focus. You're no longer constantly second-guessing your moves. You're investing in a future that hasn't arrived yet, but that you've already decided is real. And with enough repetition, that future becomes more vivid, more magnetic, more inevitable. You start making moves that the average person can't understand. Not because they're impossible, but because most people never train themselves to believe first. They wait for proof, for signs, for applause. But the ones who build extraordinary lives aren't waiting. They're walking, again and again, until belief becomes second nature and faith becomes the default lens through which every moment is filtered. The world is full of gifted people paralyzed by uncertainty. They have the talent, the ideas, the potential, but none of it matters without the courage to act. Talent may open a door, but only certainty keeps you walking through it. The difference between the person who creates impact and the one who disappears in hesitation isn't intelligence, isn't connections, isn't luck. It's certainty. That quiet, unshakable decision deep within that says, this is who I am, this is what I'm doing, and nothing will stop me. Certainty is not arrogance. It's not about ignoring the unknown. It's about trusting your direction more than fearing the detour. When you live from certainty, you become immune to the noise. Opinions lose their power. Doubts lose their grip. You stop checking for validation because you've already given it to yourself. Certainty is a weapon in a world addicted to indecision. Most people are waiting for guarantees, for confirmation that every step will lead to success before they take the first one. But life doesn't work like that. The guarantee is you. It's the way you show up. It's the discipline you apply. It's the vision you refuse to let go of, even when it's blurry. And the moment you decide that your outcome is non-negotiable, your behavior changes. You stop entertaining distractions. You stop explaining yourself to people who don't understand. You stop shrinking your ambition to fit their comfort zones. Because when certainty rises, compromise dies. This kind of certainty is built, not born. You build it by doing hard things daily, by finishing what you start, by keeping promises to yourself when no one's watching. Every time you show up in alignment with your purpose, you earn trust in yourself. And the more trust you build, the more boldly you begin to move. Soon, your actions stop asking for permission and start declaring intention. You begin to think bigger, speak clearer, lead stronger. The world doesn't need more talented people waiting to be discovered. It needs more certain people willing to be seen, willing to be misunderstood, willing to walk alone for a while so they can lead many later. Because when you lead with certainty, the right people follow, the right opportunities align, and the path begins to respond to your presence. Reality bends to the strength of your internal world. The way you think, feel, and carry yourself silently instructs your environment how to respond to you. Most people walk through life waiting for permission to feel confident, to act boldly, to speak with authority. But those who understand the power of inner posture don't wait. They decide who they are and move through life as if the world already agreed. When you act like the plan can't fail, not only do you eliminate hesitation, you activate creativity. You stop reacting and start initiating. You no longer ask, what if it doesn't work, but instead ask, what needs to happen next? That single mental shift creates a ripple effect in every area of your life. People feel it when you believe in yourself without needing external validation. Opportunities tend to reveal themselves to those already in motion. When your internal state is solid, focused, grounded, expectant, you stop chasing approval and start attracting alignment. It's not magic, it's not luck, it's coherence. The outside matches the inside, but most never reach this point because they spend their lives negotiating with fear. They shrink their energy to avoid being too much, too loud, too ambitious. And in doing so, they teach the world to overlook them. But when you stand in your power, when you move with the quiet certainty that you're exactly where you need to be, doing exactly what you're meant to do, people begin to take notice. Not because you asked them to, but because truth is hard to ignore. This isn't about pretend, it's about anchoring. Anchoring your mindset so deeply in belief that no circumstance, no opinion, no rejection can shake it. Because when your inner world is aligned, the outer world starts to organize around it. The right conversations show up. The right doors crack open. The right timing begins to unfold. But only after you declare, through action, that you're already committed to the outcome. Most want to wait until everything feels perfect before they fully show up. But perfection is a lie. The moment you decide to bring your full presence, before the applause, before the recognition, before the guarantee, the shift begins. The path reveals itself to those who walk with the posture of completion, even while still in the process. They say, I'll believe it when I see it. But those words are the silent killers of potential. The ones who change their lives, who shift their direction, who break generational patterns, they don't wait to see it. They create it. They believe first. Belief is not passive, it is an act of rebellion against mediocrity. It is the deliberate choice to carry certainty in an uncertain world. Most people are trained to respond only to visible evidence, to wait for proof before they act, but this thinking keeps them locked in cycles of hesitation and regret. Belief is what separates the average from the exceptional. It's what allows someone with nothing to start building something before the world even notices. The extraordinary do not wait for signs. They become the sign. Their actions shout what they believe before their results ever whisper it. Your future is not waiting on perfect conditions. It's waiting on your decision to behave like the person who already owns it. That means leading with discipline before there's reward. That means creating with intensity before there's applause. That means showing up when you're still invisible because you've already seen something in your mind that the world hasn't caught up to yet. The few who rise are those who have trained themselves to walk like it's working, even when there's no confirmation. Because something shifts when you act that way. Your brain starts searching for solutions instead of excuses. Your energy becomes magnetic. People sense something in you before they can explain it. They don't see the outcome yet, but they feel the momentum. Everything you do is a vote for the identity you're becoming. Every time you wake up early, you're voting for the disciplined one. Every time you speak with conviction, you're voting for the leader. Every time you act with excellence, you're voting for the one who already owns the result. And with enough votes, the identity becomes reality. But it only works if you commit before you feel certain, if you show up before it makes sense, if you act before anyone claps. The results follow those who refuse to wait for them. You don't need to prove yourself. You need to move yourself into the mindset, into the behavior, into the identity of the person who no longer doubts whether it's possible.